You know that feeling when your phone buzzes and you just know something's wrong? That gut instinct that makes your stomach drop before you even look at the screen? That's exactly what happened to me on a Thursday afternoon in late September. I was sitting in my office, halfway through a marketing report that was due by 5, when my phone lit up with a bank alert. I almost ignored it. Almost, but something told me to check. And when I did, my entire world tilted sideways. Transaction alert 12247.89 is charged to your account. Merchant, Grandview Estate and Events. $12,000 gone. Just like that. I stared at the screen, blinking, waiting for it to make sense. It didn't. I refreshed the app. The charge was still there. I checked the date. Today. I checked the merchant. Grandview Estate. Wait, wasn't that the venue my sister Claire was using for her wedding? My heart started pounding. I immediately called my bank. The woman on the other end was polite, professional, and devastatingly clear. Yes, ma'am, the charge went through this morning at 9:43. It was processed as a payment for reception services. Do you not recognize this transaction? No, I said, my voice shaking. I didn't authorize this. Was your card stolen? I I don't know. But even as I said it, a horrible realization was creeping in. My card wasn't stolen. It was sitting right there in my wallet. And there was only one person who'd ever had access to my account details. Claire, my sister. The same sister whose wedding was happening in less than 24 hours. I hung up and sat frozen at my desk, staring at that number. $12,000. That was nearly half of my savings, money I'd been putting away for years, for a down payment on a house, for emergencies, for my future. And she'd just taken it, without asking, without telling me, without even a heads up. I felt sick. But more than that, I felt something cold settle in my chest, something sharp and unforgiving. Because this wasn't the first time Claire had taken something from me, not even close. Let me tell you about my sister. Claire is 2 years older than me, and she's always been the golden child, the favorite, the one who could do no wrong in our parents' eyes. Growing up, everything revolved around her. Her dance recitals, her pageants, her drama club performances. Mom and Dad would move heaven and earth to make sure Claire had what she needed, even if it meant I went without. I learned early on not to complain, because whenever I did, I'd get the same lecture. Your sister needs this for her future. Don't be selfish. Family supports each other. So I supported, quietly, constantly, even when it hurt. When I was 16, I'd saved up $800 from my part-time job at the movie theater. I was going to buy a laptop for school, something I desperately needed for my college applications. But 2 weeks before I was supposed to buy it, Claire's car broke down. And guess who Mom asked to lend money to fix it? I never saw that $800 again. When I graduated high school with honors and got a partial scholarship to State University, my parents took me out for dinner at Applebee's. When Claire graduated 2 years earlier with a C average, they threw her a massive party and bought her a brand new car. I told myself it didn't matter, that I was being petty, that love isn't a competition. But deep down, it stung. And the worst part? Claire never seemed to notice. Or maybe she did, and she just didn't care. She floated through life expecting things to be handed to her, and somehow they always were, including, apparently, my money. The wedding had been the center of our family's universe for the past year. Claire got engaged to her boyfriend, Derek, last October, and from that moment on, it was all anyone could talk about. The venue, the dress, the flowers, the cake, the guest list. Mom was obsessed. She'd call me 3 times a week with updates I didn't ask for, talking about color palettes and seating charts like they were matters of national security. And me? I was expected to show up, smile, and play the supportive little sister. I did my part. I went to the dress fittings. I helped address invitations. I even agreed to be a bridesmaid, even though Claire's other bridesmaids barely acknowledged my existence. But I drew a line at money. When Claire casually mentioned she was a little short on the venue deposit and asked if I could help out, I said no. Firmly, politely, but no. She'd laughed it off at the time, saying, "No worries, we'll figure it out." I thought that was the end of it. Clearly, I was wrong. I didn't go home that night. I couldn't. I sat in my car in the parking lot of my office building for over an hour, staring at my phone, trying to decide what to do. Part of me wanted to call Claire right then and scream at her, demand an explanation, demand my money back. But another part of me, the part that had spent a lifetime swallowing my anger to keep the peace, whispered, "Don't make a scene. Not before her wedding. You'll look like the villain." That's how it always worked in my family. Claire could do whatever she wanted, and I was expected to absorb it with grace. But $12,000? That was too much, even for me. I finally drove home around 8 that night. My apartment felt cold and empty. I poured myself a glass of wine I didn't drink and sat on my couch, staring at the bank app on my phone. The charge was still there, mocking me. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew that if I did it over the phone, she'd twist it. She'd cry. She'd make me feel like the bad guy. So I decided to wait. I'd go to her house tomorrow morning, the morning of her wedding, and I'd look her in the eye and ask her what the hell she was thinking. I barely slept that night. When my alarm went off at 6:30, I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. But I got up, got dressed, and drove to Claire's apartment. She lived in a trendy loft downtown with Derek, the kind of place that cost 3 times my rent. I parked on the street and took a deep breath before heading up. Claire answered the door in a silk robe, her hair in rollers, a mimosa in her hand. She looked radiant, glowing, like someone who didn't have a care in the world. "Hey," she said brightly. "What are you doing here? I thought you weren't coming until later." I stepped inside without being invited. "We need to talk." Her smile faltered. Okay. Is everything okay?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the bank alert. "Does this look okay to you?" Her face went pale. For a second, just a second, I saw something flicker in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, or panic. But then she recovered, and her expression shifted into something I knew all too well: defensiveness. "Okay, look," she said, setting down her mimosa. "I can explain." "Please do." She sighed, running a hand through her hair. Derek and I were short on the venue payment. Like, really short. The wedding planner said if we didn't pay the full balance by yesterday, they were going to cancel everything. I panicked, okay? I didn't know what else to do. "So you stole from me?" "I didn't steal. You took $12,000 out of my account without asking. What do you call that?" "I was going to pay you back." "When?" She hesitated. "I don't know. Soon. After the honeymoon, maybe. Derek's getting a bonus at work in a few months." "A few months?" "I didn't have a choice." "You had a choice." I was shaking now, my voice rising. "You could have asked me. You could have been honest. You could have, I don't know, not had a wedding you couldn't afford." Her eyes narrowed. "Wow. Really? You're really going to stand here and lecture me about my wedding the day before it happens?" "You stole from me, Claire." "I borrowed without permission. That's theft." She crossed her arms. "You know what? I knew you'd react like this. I knew you'd make this about you." "About me? You took my money. And you've always resented me for having things you don't," she snapped. "You've been jealous your whole life, and now you're using this as an excuse to ruin my wedding." I stared at her, stunned. "Are you serious right now?" "Yes," she said, her voice cold. "I think you need to leave." "Fine," I said quietly. "But just so you know, I'm calling the bank. I'm reporting this as fraud." Her face went white. "You wouldn't." I looked her dead in the eye. "Watch me." I didn't go straight to the bank. I sat in my car outside Claire's apartment, hands gripping the steering wheel, my whole body trembling with rage and disbelief. She'd called me jealous. Me after stealing $12,000. And the worst part? She actually believed it. She'd convinced herself that she was the victim here, that I was just being petty and vindictive. That's how it had always been. Claire did whatever she wanted. And somehow I was always the one in the wrong for calling her out. Not this time. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. My finger hovered over the report fraud button. If I pressed it, the bank would launch an investigation. They'd reverse the charge. Claire's venue payment would bounce, and her wedding, set to happen in less than 18 hours, would be canceled. It would destroy her, but she'd destroyed me first. I thought about all the times I'd let things slide. All the times I'd bitten my tongue, swallowed my anger, and played the good little sister. I thought about the $800 I'd never gotten back, the laptop I'd never bought, the celebrations I'd never had. I thought about how even now my parents would probably take her side. They'd tell me I was overreacting. That family was supposed to forgive. But forgiveness required remorse. And Claire wasn't sorry. She was just mad she got caught. I pressed the button. Within minutes, I got a confirmation message. Fraud claim submitted. Investigation initiated. Disputed charge will be reversed within 3-5 business days. I took a screenshot and texted it to Claire. Me. It's done. Good luck with your wedding. She called immediately. I declined. She called again. I declined again. Then came the texts. Claire, are you insane? Claire, you're going to ruin everything. Claire, how could you do this to me? Claire, I'm your sister. I turned my phone off and drove home. For the first time in my life, I felt something I'd never felt when it came to Claire. Power. By noon, my phone was exploding. I'd turned it back on to find 63 missed calls and over 100 texts. Claire, Derek, my mom, my dad, even Claire's bridesmaids, people I barely knew, were messaging me, calling me selfish, heartless, cruel. My mom's voicemail was the worst. How could you do this to your sister? On her wedding day? What is wrong with you? Call me back right now. I didn't. Instead, I poured myself another glass of wine. It was barely 1 in the afternoon, but I didn't care. And read through the messages. Most of them were variations of the same thing. You're ruining her life. She made a mistake, but you're making it worse. Family doesn't do this to family. But buried in the chaos was one message that made me pause. It was from Derek's younger brother, Sam. I'd met him a few times at family dinners. He'd always seemed kind, quiet. Sam, hey, I don't know the whole story, but I just wanted to say, if Claire took your money without asking, that's not okay. I'm sorry you're dealing with this. I stared at that message for a long time. It was the only one that acknowledged I wasn't the villain here. I didn't respond, but it gave me a tiny sliver of validation in the middle of all the chaos. By 3 p.m., I got a call from the wedding venue. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of me. Hello? Hi, is this Miss Carter? Yes. This is Grandview Estate. We're calling regarding a payment dispute filed this morning for the Claire Dawson wedding. My heart raced. Yes? The charge has been flagged as fraudulent and reversed by your bank. Unfortunately, bitch, this means the balance for tomorrow's event is now unpaid. Per our contract, we require full payment 72 hours before the event. Since we're now within 24 hours and the payment has been reversed, we've had to cancel the reception. I closed my eyes. I understand. We've already informed Miss Dawson. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. It's fine. Thank you. I hung up and sat in silence. It was real now. Claire's wedding was canceled, and I was the one who'd done it. My parents showed up at my apartment at 6 p.m. I heard the pounding on the door before the doorbell even rang. Open this door right now, my dad's voice boomed. I thought about not answering, about pretending I wasn't home, but I knew they wouldn't leave. I opened the door. My mom's face was red and blotchy from crying. My dad looked like he was about to have a stroke. What the hell is wrong with you? He said immediately, pushing past me into the apartment. Nice to see you too, I muttered. Don't, my mom snapped, pointing a finger at me. Don't you dare get smart right now. Do you have any idea what you've done? Yeah, I reported fraud. You ruined your sister's wedding. No, I said, my voice steady. Claire ruined it when she stole $12,000 from me. She was going to pay you back, my mom shrieked. When? How? She doesn't have the money, Mom. That's why she stole mine in the first place. It's not stealing when it's family. Yes, it is. My dad stepped forward, his jaw tight. You need to call the bank right now. Reverse this. I'm not doing that. You're going to let your sister's wedding fall apart over money? She let my savings disappear over her wedding. This is unbelievable, my mom said, shaking her head. I raised you better than this. Something snapped inside me. Did you? I said quietly. They both stared at me. Did you raise me better than this? Or did you raise me to roll over every time Claire needed something? To give and never ask for anything back? That's not fair, my mom said. Isn't it? When's the last time you threw me a party? When's the last time you helped me with anything? When have you ever put me first? You're being dramatic. I'm being honest. My dad's voice dropped, cold and hard. If you don't fix this, you're not welcome at this wedding. Or in this family. I looked him in the eye. Good thing there's no wedding to go to. My mom gasped. My dad's face went purple. Get out, I said. This is your apartment, and I'm telling you to leave. They stared at me like they didn't recognize me. Maybe they didn't, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't bending. They left, and the second the door closed, I collapsed onto the couch and cried. The next day was supposed to be Claire's wedding day. Instead, it was the quietest Saturday I'd ever experienced. No calls, no texts, nothing. My family had gone completely silent. I stayed in my apartment, scrolling through social media, watching the fallout unfold from a distance. Claire had posted a tearful Instagram story. Due to unforeseen circumstances, our wedding has been postponed. Thank you to everyone who has supported us during this incredibly difficult time. We'll share more soon. The comments were full of sympathy. Sending love. You'll get through this. Everything happens for a reason. No one knew the truth. No one knew that the unforeseen circumstance was her stealing from her own sister. I should have felt vindicated, but instead, I felt hollow. Because as much as I knew I was right, as much as I knew Claire had crossed a line, part of me still felt guilty. What if I'd overreacted? What if I should have just let it go? What if I'd just ruined my relationship with my family forever over money? I spiraled for hours, doubting myself, questioning everything. But then I opened my banking app and saw that the $12,247.89 had been refunded. And I remembered something. This wasn't just about the money. It was about respect. Claire had treated me like I didn't matter, like my savings, my future. My boundaries were all negotiable. And I'd finally said no. That wasn't wrong. That was survival. On Sunday afternoon, I got a knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. And honestly, I was half afraid it was my parents coming back for round two. But when I opened the door, it was Sam, Derek's brother. Hey, he said, looking awkward. Is this a bad time? No. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside. Sam sat on my couch, hands clasped between his knees. I just wanted to check on you, he said. I heard what happened. The whole family's talking about it. Let me guess. They all think I'm a monster. He sighed. Pretty much, but I don't. I blinked. You don't? No, look, I've known Derek for a long time and I love the guy, but Claire's always been kind of entitled. And I think what she did to you was messed up. Hearing someone actually say that out loud made my throat tighten. Thank you, I whispered. Derek's pissed at you, obviously, but honestly, I think he's more embarrassed than anything. He didn't know Claire had done that. When he found out, they had a huge fight. Really? Sam nodded. Yeah, he asked her why she didn't just talk to you first, and she said she knew you'd say no. I let out a bitter laugh. Of course she did. For what it's worth, Sam said, I think you did the right thing. Setting boundaries isn't cruel. It's necessary. I felt tears prick my eyes. I don't know if it was worth losing my family over. Maybe they're not worth keeping if this is how they treat you. A week later, Claire finally reached out, not with an apology, but with an invoice. She texted me a screenshot of a bill from the wedding venue, a cancellation fee of $8,000, and wrote, "Since you're the one who caused this, you owe me half, $4,000. I'll send you my Venmo." I stared at my phone in disbelief. She was serious. She genuinely believed I owed her money. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, she called. I let it go to voicemail. "You can't ignore me forever," her voice said. "You ruined my wedding. The least you can do is help pay for the damage you caused. Everyone agrees with me, even Derek. So stop being childish and send me the money." I deleted the voicemail, but I didn't feel sad anymore. I felt clarity. Because in that moment, I realized something. Claire was never going to apologize. She was never going to take responsibility. She was never going to see me as anything other than a resource to be used. And my parents were never going to stand up for me. So I had to stand up for myself. I drafted a group text to my parents, Claire and Derek. "I will not be paying any cancellation fees. I will not be apologizing. What Claire did was theft. If she wants to rebuild this relationship, she needs to take accountability. Until then, I need space. Don't contact me." I hit send, and then I blocked all of them. 6 months have passed since Claire's canceled wedding. I haven't spoken to my parents. I haven't spoken to Claire, and honestly, I'm okay. It wasn't easy at first. The guilt was suffocating. I questioned myself constantly, wondering if I'd made the right choice. But as time went on, I started to see things more clearly. I started therapy. I started journaling. I started rebuilding my life on my own terms. And I realized something. For my entire life, I'd been taught that being a good person meant sacrificing myself for others. But that's not what goodness is. Goodness is setting boundaries. It's protecting yourself. It's refusing to let people treat you like you don't matter. Claire taught me that the hard way. A few weeks ago, I ran into Sam at a coffee shop. We talked for a while, and he told me that Claire and Derek had postponed the wedding indefinitely. Apparently, the whole ordeal had caused a lot of tension in their relationship. "Do you feel bad?" he asked. I thought about it. "No," I said. "I feel free." Because that's what this was. Freedom. Freedom from always being the backup plan, from always being the one who gave and never received, from always being expected to forgive without ever being respected. I don't know if Claire will ever understand what she did. I don't know if my parents will ever see me as more than the difficult daughter, but I know this. I'm done shrinking myself to make other people comfortable. I'm done apologizing for having boundaries, and I'm done letting people take from me just because we share blood. Because family isn't supposed to hurt you. And if it does, you're allowed to walk away. If you're watching this and you've ever been in a situation like mine, where someone you love has taken advantage of you, and you're wondering if you're wrong for standing up for yourself, let me tell you something. You're not wrong. You're not selfish. You're not cruel. You're human. And you deserve to be treated with respect. It doesn't matter if it's your sister, your parents, your best friend, or your partner. No one has the right to take from you without permission. No one has the right to make you feel guilty for protecting yourself. And no one has the right to demand your forgiveness without earning it. Walking away from toxic family members is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But sometimes it's the only way to save yourself. I don't regret what I did. I don't regret setting that boundary. Because for the first time in my life, I'm not living for someone else's approval. I'm living for me. And that's worth more than any wedding, more than any family dinner, more than any relationship built on guilt and obligation. So if you're struggling with a decision like this, ask yourself, am I protecting myself or am I punishing myself? Am I setting a boundary or am I crossing my own? And if the answer is that you're protecting yourself, then do it. Even if it hurts, even if people hate you for it, even if you lose people you thought you couldn't live without. Because the only person you truly can't live without is yourself, and you deserve better.